my point is that the foreign policy of Saudi Arabia, its internal policy, I mean, you have all the reason in the world not to deal with them if you really have these so-called principles. You know, if that's the agenda today to vilify Russia, then that's the agenda. And Saudi Arabia, we can't do that. You can't do that because you need to back the US dollar with something. So for the time being, it's faux pas. At the same time, Joe Biden, when he was running in the Democratic primary, he did actually speak out against Saudi Arabia. But then again, that's the thing. Politicians say a lot of things when they're trying to get elected. Here, take a look.
Mr. Vice President, the CIA has concluded that the leader of Saudi Arabia directed the murder of U.S.-based journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The State Department also says the Saudi government is responsible for executing nonviolent offenders and for torture. President Trump has not punished senior Saudi leaders. Would you?
Yes, and I said it at the time. Khashoggi was, in fact, murdered and dismembered, and I believe in the order of the Crown Prince. And I would make it very clear, we were not going to, in fact, sell more weapons to them. We were going to, in fact, make them pay the price and make them, in fact, the pariah that they are. There's very little social redeeming value in the present government in Saudi Arabia. And I would also, as pointed out, I would end the subsidies that we have, end the sale of material to the Saudis, who they're going in and murdering children and they're murdering innocent people. And so they have to be held accountable. And with regard to China, we should look, unless we make it clear.
Yeah, well, that sounds very nice and all, except, again, it's a bunch of hot air. I mean, you know, speaking of murdering women and children, speaking of Yemen, that was started thanks to Biden. You know, again, like I said, half of his administration, they quote unquote served under Obama. So they know the war in Yemen very well. They helped start it and support it. Now, obviously, once Biden got elected, what happens? Oh, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to sanction MBS. We're not going to punish the Saudis. This is the maximum that the Americans did about the Saudis killing Jamal Khashoggi. They released a report from the DNI. So this is the Director of National Intelligence, Avril Haines. And again, just be clear, this is Joe Biden's administration putting out a report clarifying that the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia ordered his entourage and his security detail to murder a reporter at the Washington Post, Jamal Khashoggi, who, again, for those of you who don't know, he's a Saudi dissident and he moved to the U.S. So he was a U.S. resident at the very least and writing for a very prolific U.S. paper. And they don't care. And the most they did is release this report. Okay? But there are no prosecutions, nothing like that. The U.S. papers right now, the New York Times, the CNN, they're all very good at pointing these things out. So they will write articles like this. Okay? And they'll tell you, yeah, you know, MBS over here, the Crown Prince, he murdered a Washington Post reporter, Jamal Khashoggi. And Saudi Arabia has been butchering Yemen with U.S. support. And Saudi Arabia has all these bad things about it, right? And then, what do they do at the end of the article? They say, but it's still okay, right? So they wouldn't do that with Putin. Do you think they would make an article about how Putin did this and that, but then, you know, it's still okay to deal with him? No.